If someone does this to you, it means they truly hate you. Hate is not always loud. It doesn't always come in shouting matches or slammed doors. Sometimes it hides in the quiet corners of a relationship, wearing a smile that never quite reaches the eyes. And if you're not paying attention, you may miss the subtle signs that someone carries a deep dislike toward you. As we grow older, wisdom teaches us to look past words and listen to what hearts are really saying. Life has a way of sharpening our vision. We notice the pauses in conversations, the silence where there should be warmth, the strange satisfaction in another's eyes when we stumble. These are not accidents. They are the fingerprints of hidden hatred. When a person truly hates you, they rarely announce it. Instead, they let it slip through their actions. They reveal it in the way they talk about you when you're not around, in how they withhold kindness when you need it most, in how they quietly celebrate your failures. It can sting more deeply than open conflict, because it comes wrapped in familiarity, sometimes even in the clothing of family or friendship. By the time you reach your 60s and beyond, you learn that life is too short to ignore these signs. It's not about being paranoid, but about being wise. Knowing when someone's heart is against you allows you to guard your own. It frees you from the poison of pretending, and it gives you the courage to walk away with dignity still intact. This conversation is not meant to stir bitterness in your spirit, but to bring clarity. Because when you recognize what hatred looks like, you stop trying to win over those who will never love you. And in that space, you create room for people who truly care, people who will walk beside you in joy and in pain, not out of obligation but out of love. Life at this stage is not about carrying everyone with you. It's about walking lighter, freer, and wiser. And part of wisdom is knowing the difference between those who may not understand you and those who deeply despise you. When someone really hates you, the signs are there, and today we are going to uncover them together. Number 1, they celebrate your pain, even quietly. One of the hardest truths to face in life is realizing that someone close to you takes pleasure in your suffering. They may not come right out and laugh in your face, but you can see it in the way their eyes light up when things fall apart for you. You can hear it in their voice, that faint hint of satisfaction they just can't hide. It cuts deeper than any insult, because pain is supposed to bring people together, not give someone else a reason to smile. When you fall ill, lose a job, or go through heartbreak, most people with good hearts will rally around you. They'll bring a meal, call to check in, or offer prayers. But the person who hates you won't show up in that way. If they do, their comfort feels hollow, rehearsed, lacking soul. They are present, not out of love, but out of curiosity. They want front row seats to watch your suffering unfold. Sometimes their celebration is subtle. A joke slipped into conversation about your setback, a smirk when your name comes up, or an "I told you so" buried under the guise of concern. But make no mistake, that quiet enjoyment of your pain is not friendship. It's not even indifference. It is the clearest evidence that something dark is brewing in their heart toward you. We've all heard the saying that misery loves company. Those who hate you want you down at their level. They want you struggling so that your light doesn't outshine theirs. If you are thriving, it reminds them of their own insecurities, their own failures, their own jealousy. So when life hits you hard, they see it as balance being restored. In their mind, you deserved it. As we age, we learn to value peace more than appearances. You cannot afford to keep people around who secretly clap at your wounds. Their hidden joy becomes poison to your spirit, and if you're not careful, that poison can seep into your confidence, your sense of worth, even your faith in humanity. The wise response is not to fight them, not to demand that they stop, You cannot change the darkness in someone else's heart, but you can protect your own. You can recognize that their laughter at your pain speaks more about their emptiness than about your failure, and you can make the decision to distance yourself, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to guard your soul. There is a freedom in letting go of people who root against you, and with that freedom comes clarity. The people who truly love you don't measure their joy against your loss. They share in your pain. They carry part of your burden. And when you rise again, as you always will, they are the first to cheer. Number 2, they refuse to acknowledge your worth. Hatred doesn't always scream. Often it whispers through silence. It shows itself not in loud arguments, but in the absence of recognition. The person who hates you will go out of their way to ignore your achievements, to minimize your efforts, to pretend you bring nothing of value to the table. And if you've lived long enough, you know how painful it is to be made invisible. Think of the times you've worked hard, poured your heart into something, and expected even a small acknowledgement. For most people, a simple "well done" goes a long way. But for someone who despises you, those words will never cross their lips. They cannot bring themselves to admit that you've done something meaningful, because in their mind, your success threatens their own worth. They might even twist the situation. If you get a promotion, they'll say it was luck. If you raise kind children, they'll dismiss it as chance. If you build a good life after years of struggle, they'll whisper that you took shortcuts. It's not that they don't see your worth. It's that they refuse to validate it. To acknowledge your value would mean admitting that you are someone to be respected, and that is something hate will never allow. What makes this behavior especially damaging is how subtle it is. They don't insult you outright. They simply omit you. They leave your name off the list. They pass you over in conversation. They speak as if your contributions never existed. That invisibility can weigh heavier than criticism, because it starves your spirit of the recognition every human being needs. In American culture, where independence and achievement are celebrated, this kind of erasure can feel like exile. We live in a society that thrives on applause for our work, our families, our dreams. And when someone close to you denies you even that small nod of respect, it feels like a deliberate act of cruelty. You don't just feel unappreciated, you feel unwanted. The wisdom that comes with age is knowing that silence often speaks louder than words. When someone consistently refuses to see your value, it isn't an accident, it isn't forgetfulness, it is intentional, and it means that their heart carries something against you. But here is the truth that sets you free. Your worth does not shrink because someone else refuses to see it. Their blindness does not make you invisible. Their silence does not erase your impact. The ones who matter, the ones who truly care, see you clearly. They celebrate you loudly. They thank you openly. They love you without hesitation. So when you encounter that cold wall of disregard, don't waste your strength banging against it. Instead, turn toward the voices that lift you. Walk with the people who notice the little things, who clap for you even when no one else is watching. Those are your people. That is your family, whether by blood or by choice. Life is too short to keep begging for applause from hearts that are dead to your light. The refusal to acknowledge your worth is not a reflection of who you are. It is proof of the shadows living inside them. You keep shining, and let your light be the very thing they cannot stand to ignore. Number 3, they twist your words and intentions. Few things cut deeper than having your words twisted. You can speak from a place of honesty, with nothing but good intentions, and somehow the person who hates you finds a way to turn it against you. They bend your meaning. They stretch your tone. They take your kindness and reshape it into something cruel. Suddenly, you find yourself defending what you never even said, fighting battles you never intended to start. This is not misunderstanding. Misunderstanding can be cleared up with a conversation, with patience, with love. Twisting your words, however, is intentional. It is a weapon. People who hate you thrive on creating confusion around you. They want others to question your character, to wonder if you are the person you claim to be. By warping your words, they plant seeds of doubt that can poison your reputation. You might notice how it happens in the smallest things. You compliment someone, and they accuse you of sarcasm. You share an idea, and they say you're trying to take control. You express concern, and they twist it into criticism. Every word that leaves your mouth becomes ammunition for them to fire back at you. It's exhausting, it's draining, and it's cruel. In many American families and workplaces, this kind of twisting is how gossip begins. One sentence taken out of context, one phrase turned upside down, and suddenly you're the villain in a story you never wrote. By the time the truth surfaces, if it ever does, the damage is done. Bridges are burned. Trust is broken. All because someone who hated you chose to misrepresent your heart. As we grow older, we realize that protecting our peace is more important than defending ourselves against every false story. Wisdom says, people who twist your words are not seeking truth. They are seeking harm, and you cannot reason with a spirit that thrives on destruction. The wisest response is to step back. Don't waste your breath trying to straighten every crooked tale. Instead, let your actions speak louder than their lies. Let your consistency outshine their distortion. Those who truly know you will not be fooled for long, and those who believe the twisted stories, they were never on your side to begin with. There is a painful but freeing lesson here. You don't need to prove your innocence to those who are determined to see you guilty. Haters will twist your words until the end of time, because what they fear most is the truth of your goodness, your integrity, your resilience. So instead of handing them more words to twist, give them silence, give them distance, give them nothing at all. Because at the end of the day, your life is the loudest voice you have, and no amount of twisting can silence the evidence of a heart that has lived with honor. Number 4. They withdraw kindness, but offer cold courtesy. There is a special kind of cruelty in politeness, without warmth. On the surface, they greet you. They nod. They might even ask how you are. But underneath, there is no kindness left in their voice, no compassion in their eyes, no sincerity in their touch. It is the performance of decency without the heart behind it. And if you felt it, you know how chilling it is. True kindness has a weight, a warmth, a depth. It lingers in the way someone smiles at you, in the care behind their words, in the small gestures that cost them nothing but mean everything to you. When someone hates you, that depth disappears. What remains is cold courtesy, robotic, hollow, detached. They speak to you not because they care, but because society demands it. They'll say hello, but never ask about your well-being. They'll shake your hand, but never meet your eyes. They'll wish you well in words, but never in spirit. It's the kind of politeness that makes you feel lonelier than silence, because silence is absence, but cold courtesy is rejection, dressed up as respect. In American culture, where manners are often taught as a shield against conflict, this kind of interaction is common. People will keep up appearances while secretly withholding kindness. And for the person on the receiving end, it can feel like being left out in the cold while everyone else sits by the fire. As we age, we learn to sense energy even more than words. We know when a hug is empty. We know when a smile is forced. We know when someone's "I'm happy for you" carries no joy. That wisdom is both a blessing and a burden. A blessing because it helps us see the truth, a burden because it hurts to admit when kindness has dried up. The truth is, when someone withdraws their kindness, but maintains a thin veil of politeness, it is not to protect you. It is to protect themselves. They don't want to be seen as cruel, so they keep up appearances. But their heart has already stepped away. That gap between their actions and their true feelings is where hatred hides. The lesson here is not to cling to cold gestures. Don't confuse courtesy for care. Don't let yourself believe that a polite nod means reconciliation. It doesn't. When kindness is gone, you must accept it for what it is, because love, respect, and care cannot be faked forever. So what do? You stop chasing warmth where it no longer exists. You place yourself among people who not only greet you but embrace you, not only speak to you but listen, not only act polite but act with love. Life is too short to stand at the door of someone's cold courtesy, hoping they'll invite you in. And here is the gift of wisdom. Once you stop expecting kindness from those who hate you, you discover an abundance of it waiting in the hearts of those who truly value you. That shift from begging for crumbs to receiving true bread changes everything. Number 5. They try to isolate you from others. Hatred rarely stays contained. When someone truly despises you, they don't just keep it between the two of you, they try to spread it. They work quietly, sometimes even subtly, to turn others against you. Their goal is to leave you standing alone, stripped of support, doubted by friends, and misunderstood by family. It often begins with whispers. A comment slipped into conversation, a story shared that casts you in a shadow, carefully exaggerated or bent out of shape. They may start with half-truths, just enough to sound believable, just enough to raise suspicion, and over time those whispers grow into walls that separate you from people who once stood close. This is one of the clearest signs of real hate. They don't just dislike you, they want others to dislike you too. They are not content with keeping their bitterness in private. They want to recruit others to join their side. And for you, it becomes a battle not only against one person's animosity, but against the silence of those who now keep their distance. In American life, this can happen in families, in workplaces, even in churches. A relative may quietly poison siblings against you. A coworker may undermine your reputation with small digs, until the boss begins to doubt you. A neighbor may gossip until others avoid you at gatherings. It is isolating, humiliating, and deeply painful, because human beings are not made to live without community. And yet, wisdom tells us something powerful. When someone works this hard to isolate you, it is because your presence unsettles them. Your strength, your goodness, your resilience, it threatens their bitterness. They can't destroy you directly, so they try to weaken you by pulling others away. But here is the truth. People who are truly yours cannot be stolen. The ones who turn away because of whispered lies were never fully rooted in you to begin with. The ones who stay, even when the storm of gossip rages, those are the ones you can trust for life. Hatred may scatter the shallow connections, but it cannot uproot the ones who are bound to you by love. So when you find yourself isolated, don't panic. Don't chase after those who drift away. Instead, lean on the solid few who remain. They are your treasure. They are proof that no amount of hate can steal away what is truly meant for you. And most of all, remember, even if every earthly tie is shaken, you are never truly alone. Life has a way of sending new people, fresh community, unexpected love, just when you need it most. Hatred may close some doors, but wisdom says, the doors that matter will always open again. Number 6. They compete with you even when there is no race. There is a strange restlessness in people who hate you. They cannot simply let you live. They measure themselves against you at every turn, even in things that don't matter. If you share good news, they immediately counter with their own. If you buy something, they find a way to show theirs is better. If you achieve something, they scramble to prove they are not behind. Their life becomes one long contest, and the prize is not growth. The prize is simply outshining you. This constant competition is exhausting. Not because you are competing, but because you are not. You never signed up for the race. You never agreed to the game. Yet they keep dragging you into comparisons you never wanted. And with each one-upping, their hatred reveals itself more clearly. It can show up in little ways. You tell a story, they tell a bigger one. You mention your success, they immediately share theirs. You accomplish something after years of effort, and instead of saying, "I'm proud of you," they dismiss it as nothing compared to what they've done. They cannot stand for you to have a moment in the light without trying to dim it with their own shadow. In America, where competition is often praised, this kind of behavior can easily be disguised as ambition. But there is a difference between striving to better yourself and trying to constantly outdo another person. Healthy ambition celebrates others while pursuing its own goals. Hatred-fueled competition cannot celebrate anyone. It only feels secure when the other person is losing. The older we get, the clearer this difference becomes. Life teaches us that true joy is not found in winning against others, but in walking our own journey with peace. And when someone insists on dragging you into endless comparisons, it says more about their emptiness than about your success. The wise response is to stop playing. Don't argue. Don't try to prove your worth. Don't get caught in their race. Smile, congratulate them if you can, and keep walking your path. Because every step you take in peace frustrates their hatred. They want you to compete. They need you to measure yourself against them. But when you refuse, when you stay grounded in your own worth, their obsession has nowhere to land. And here's the secret. The people who matter most to you don't need you to win. They need you to be whole, to be joyful, to be yourself. Life is not about finishing ahead of everyone else. It's about finishing with love still in your heart. So let them compete. Let them keep chasing shadows. You don't have to run their race. You have your own. And the finish line of peace is worth far more than the trophies of comparison. Number 7. They cannot forgive, no matter how small the offense. One of the deepest signs of hatred is the inability to forgive. When someone truly hates you, they hold on to every wrong, real or imagined. They store it like a weapon, ready to pull it out whenever they want to wound you again. No matter how many years have passed, no matter how much you've changed, they will not let it go. You might notice how they bring up the same old stories over and over. A mistake you made 20 years ago still sits at the tip of their tongue. An argument that was settled long ago is revived whenever it suits them. Even moments when you tried to make peace are twisted as proof that you were always the problem. To them, forgiveness is not an option, because releasing you would mean losing their grip on the anger that fuels them. The tragedy is that forgiveness is freedom. When we forgive, we unshackle ourselves from the past. But people who hate you do not want freedom. They want control. And holding a grudge gives them that. It allows them to keep you under their shadow, reminding you that no matter how far you've come, they will always drag you back to who you once were. In American families, friendships, and workplaces, grudges can split generations, ruin communities, and even silence love. It can be as small as a neighbor never speaking again because of a fence line dispute, or as big as siblings not talking for decades over inheritance. But at the root is the same poison: hatred that refuses to forgive. As we age, we begin to see how heavy grudges really are. They weigh down the soul. They poison relationships. They steal joy from the present. And when someone refuses forgiveness, it reveals not your worthlessness, but their bitterness. Their inability to let go says more about the prison they live in than about the mistake you made. The wisdom here is simple but hard. You cannot make someone forgive you. You can apologize, you can repent, you can extend your hand. But forgiveness is a gift only they can give. And when hate has taken root, that gift may never come. So what should you do? You choose forgiveness for yourself. You let go of needing their release. You stop chaining your peace to their bitterness. Because forgiveness, when chosen in your own heart, is not about excusing them. It's about freeing you. The inability to forgive is the loudest proof of hate. But your ability to forgive anyway, to walk away lighter, to live without bitterness, is the loudest proof of your strength. Conclusion: walking free from the shadows of hate. By now you can see the pattern. Hate doesn't just show itself in shouting matches or physical fights. It slips into everyday life. In the smirk when you stumble, the silence when you succeed, the twisting of your words, the cold politeness, the whispers that isolate you, the endless competition, the grudges that never die. These are not just quirks of personality. They are the signs of a heart that truly despises you. That it is painful to recognize. Sometimes the person showing you these signs is not a stranger, but a family member, a coworker, even someone who once called themselves a friend. And admitting that someone really hates you is like losing a piece of your own history. But wisdom tells us that clarity is better than confusion, and truth is better than pretense. The lesson, especially as we get older, is not to cling to those who cannot love us. Life after 60 is too precious to waste on people who secretly celebrate your pain. It is too short to beg for recognition from hearts that refuse to see your worth. It is too meaningful to keep running races you never signed up for, or to keep apologizing to people who will never forgive. Instead, you walk free. You walk with dignity, with peace, with a heart guarded by wisdom. You let the haters keep their bitterness, and you choose joy anyway. Because the truth is, their hatred is not your burden to carry. It belongs to them, and your freedom begins the moment you stop trying to heal what they are determined to keep broken. Surround yourself with those who genuinely love you, the ones who clap when you win, who show up when you fall, who speak truth with kindness, who forgive and move forward. These are your people. These are your blessings. And when you choose to walk with them, you discover that hate loses its power. In the end, hatred is loud, but love is stronger. And life is too beautiful, too fleeting, too sacred to live under the shadow of someone else's darkness. Choose light, choose peace, choose freedom.